Have you seen a home that's been sitting on the market for a long time? Well, don't scroll past it just yet. It could be an opportunity for you. Homes that sit on the market for a long time tend to be a red flag for many buyers, but sometimes they might just be looking for the right buyer, and that person could be you. In this video, I'm going to be talking about what it means to be on the market for a long time and give you some strategies for approaching homes that have been on the market for a while. In this video, I'm going to be covering what questions to ask when you're considering a home that's been on the market for a long time, what red flags to avoid, and how to negotiate from a position of leverage to get you a good deal on a home. And you're gonna wanna stick around into the end because I give you some Salida, Colorado specific examples that show you why entertaining homes that have been on the market for a while might be worth your time. If this is your first time to the channel, welcome. This channel is all about living in Salida, Colorado and the real estate market here. So be sure and subscribe and hit the bell for notifications so you're the first to know when new informative videos become available. I'm Monica McCarthy. I'm a realtor that specializes in Salida, Colorado and surrounding areas, and I get calls all the time from people just like you looking to move here. So whether you're thinking of moving here in a few weeks or a few months, be sure to reach out to me. All of my contact information is below, and I'd be happy to help you make a smooth transition to the Salida, Colorado area. Okay, so let's talk about homes that have been on the market for a long time and what you should do about that. So first of all, let's talk about what is a long time for the Salida, Colorado market. Well, our market is incredibly seasonal. We are located in Colorado mountains, and so our winter time here tends to slow down quite a bit. So in the winter, our days on the market tend to be 40, even up to 80 days. That's the average days on the market that a home is on the market before it goes under contract. However, in the warmer months, so as we shift into spring and summer, our days on the market tend to go down. Right now, as I'm filming this, we're in the early summer of 2025, and our days on the market are in the 20s. There have been summers that it goes down into the teens and even single digits. So it really depends on that year, on exactly how quickly things move. But that's kind of giving you an idea of what our average is. So any home, if you're thinking about approaching this from a what's been on the market for a long time? Should I even look at that house? Could that be a good deal? Well, looking at anything that's been on the market for several months. So probably like definitely a month or more, perhaps even like 2-3 months or more before you're even wanting to, entertain this to the degree we're gonna get into today. See a home that's been on the market for that length of time, you might be wondering, what's wrong with it? Why hasn't anybody bought it yet? So there's a few reasons why homes tend to sit. The first one and the most common one is that it's overpriced. Some sellers might have the approach of, let me just see if I can get that price. And they tend to start high. And so you either have a situation where they start high and camp out there, or start high and then kind of chase the market and continue to go down, down, down. But because they started out so high, it puts a kind of a blemish on it, and then they end up sitting for longer. And then the longer you sit, the more likely it is that somebody is not going to be interested in the home in many cases. So overpricing is one reason why homes could be sitting on the market for a while. Another one is poor marketing. So those first two have a lot to do with working with a good realtor that can help you avoid those things, pricing it well and then marketing it well. But sometimes you see poorly lit iPhone photos that are just slapped on there. Sometimes even the orientation's wrong. You can't quite see what's going on with that house. It just looks terrible online, and buyers just won't even consider it. The majority of buyers are looking online before they even step foot in a house. So terrible pictures is a way to get somebody to not look at that house, even if once you walk in, it's not that bad or it's quite nice. If it's really cluttered, and so particularly if it's a rental, a lot of times when properties have renters in there and not the homeowner, you can't quite, stage it and make it look nice. So you have these really cluttered photos and it's really hard to tell the features of the home. So that could be a problem as well. Another reason why it might be sitting for a while is if it was previously under contract. So the days on the market would continue to go up even if it was off the market for say, several weeks while it was previously under contract. Now in our market right now, we're seeing a lot of properties that are going under contract with a contingency, which means the buyers that are purchasing it have their house under contract or are going to sell their house. And in order for them to buy the house that they want to, they have to sell their house first. Sometimes the seller will accept that offer and give their buyer a certain period of time to sell their house by, or it might already be under contract, but then that contract falls through. So we're starting to see more properties that are off the market coming back on, and they fell through just because of the offer that was on there, or sometimes maybe that buyer just got cold feet. Another reason is cosmetic issues. So you could have a home with like maybe crazy paint colors, or just really drab looking old carpet, some just very clear cosmetic needs in the house. And if you couple that with terrible pictures for one, it's definitely going to make a property not look good and have buyers not want to come in. So there's a lot of buyers that want to have, a home that's ready to go when they move in. So those bigger cosmetic issues will keep them from wanting to purchase it. And then another reason is that it's being rented. So the home could either be a short-term rental, which means it's like an Airbnb or a Verbo, and so you have people coming in and out, and so that limits the availability for buyers to actually go into the home and show the property. And so that can be a reason why a home would be sitting for a while, just because people can't really see it very often. Or it's a long-term renter in there that many times is a little inflexible with allowing showings, so they might require a long window of time to schedule the showing. And then once you get in there, like I said before, the home might be cluttered or not even cleaned up. And so it just doesn't show as well many times when there's a renter in there. And so that's another reason why a property could be sitting. Okay, so now that we've covered the reasons why a property would be sitting, let's talk about an opportunity. So how can you spot a good opportunity knowing that the home has been on the market for a while? There could be a number of reasons why it's on there that have nothing to do with the condition of the home or the value of the home. And so how can you spot that opportunity? One of the main ways to look is, has it have a lot of price reductions? Like I said, overpricing is one of the main reasons why a home would be sitting. So if you have a seller that's still wanting to sell, a clue to see that would be that they're willing to keep reducing it down and down. So if it's had a few price reductions, it's usually an indicator that the seller is motivated. And so that could be an opportunity to create a deal on that property. And more specifically, seller motivation. So sometimes you'll even see clues written in the MLS and the multiple listing service. Sometimes it's specifically where only brokers can see it, and sometimes they even advertise it you as a buyer looking online to see that the seller is motivated. So if you see those magic words, seller motivated or motivated seller, then that's a really good indicator that person's willing to make a deal. And another way to spot a good deal is overlooked potential. So specifically in the Salida, Colorado area, we have some parts of town, particularly the closer you are to the downtown area, the more desirable it is. So if you can find a property with a really good location, as we say in real estate, location, 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 you can't change it. But could that house have good potential? So if you're somebody that you're willing to do some remodeling, some sweat equity, put some work into the home, and so maybe it has some cosmetic issues, there's crazy paint, maybe you need to, do some more landscaping, there's some stuff that needs to be done to increase the value, but it's a great location, then that would be a potential opportunity for, a good property to buy here. Okay, so before you move forward with any of that, what are some questions to ask? And really what I mean is have your realtor ask, what are some questions to dig a little deeper to find out if this is a good opportunity to negotiate and perhaps get a good deal. The first and most obvious is just, why has it been sitting? So I've asked this question a few times for clients, and sometimes you get some surprising answers, or often really revealing answers. So, I've heard anything from explaining why the prior offer fell through to my seller doesn't really need to sell, and it's finding out why has it been sitting. Or there's been a few where they honestly don't know, like, this is a really good property. This is kind of crazy. It hasn't sold yet. I was dealing with one like that had been sitting for many months, and then all of a sudden it was in multiple offer situations because it was almost like people just collectively saw, oh wait, this is actually a really good opportunity. Asking why has it been sitting is a good starting point. And then specifically finding out why the previous offer fell through. If it's a scenario where there was a previous offer on there, was it an inspection item? So this would be a big red flag. Was something big uncovered on the inspection? The sellers and their realtor would need to disclose any known issues with the property. So if something big came up, sometimes it's something that the seller is currently working on to try to sell the home. And sometimes it's something that they're just going to disclose and say, hey, we know about this problem, and our new buyer is going to just have to deal with it. And so you're just know from the beginning if it's something that you do want to tackle. But finding out, if it did fall through on inspection, what were those inspection items? You can even ask to see the inspection report if that's something that they have and are able to provide, or just getting as much detail as possible on what was uncovered, what the seller is going to do to remedy any of those issues, and then being able to decide if that's something you want to take on. You could also ask, how many showings has it had? How much activity has the property had? So that can also give you an indicator of, okay, is this just something that, a lot of people are waiting to decide on, or am I the only one that's looking at this? Because if you are the only one that's looking at it, you're in a really good negotiation position. Or it could be a scenario where there's a few other people looking and you just want to get ahead before others jump on it as well. And then also asking, is your seller willing to negotiate? So sometimes you have sellers that have a price they want to get, and if they don't get that price, they're not going to accept it. I had a client interested in a property. They didn't want to go to a certain amount, and I spoke to that realtor, and she basically said, we've had 6 offers on this property, and because they were all below the amount my seller wants, he's not willing to move forward. So that could be the case, and they were willing to wait, and I think they did eventually get what they wanted, but my client wasn't willing to do that. Finding that out before you do have your realtor write that offer, and just see, are they stuck at whatever price either that they think it's worth or that they have to get to sell and make the profit they need. So finding out, are they willing to negotiate? There's also been another scenario on the opposite end where the house had been sitting for, I want to say, like 6 to 8 months, and just had kind of a verbal negotiation of, is the seller willing to go down to this amount? And it was significantly less than what they had listed. But the seller, I was able to uncover, the seller just didn't want to reduce the price, but they were actually willing to go down because they did see, it was overpriced. There were offers submitted even like $100,000 below list price, and it ended up going under contract for $100,000 below list. And so, the way that was uncovered was by communicating to the listing agent and finding out, what is the seller willing to do? Are they willing to negotiate or not? And then also finding out, why are they selling? So sometimes it's a personal reason and they need to sell soon. Sometimes there's something going on with the area around them. Maybe you try to figure that out. So, finding out why is the seller selling is another important piece of information before you decide if it's a good property to move forward on. So ultimately, when a home has been sitting on the market for many days, so several months or more, you tend to have more negotiation leverage as a buyer. Homes in this area tend to sell for about 97% of their listed price. That's the average in our area. However, homes that have been sitting on the market for longer are selling for less than that. So you do have some negotiation leverage the longer the home has been sitting on the market. And so that's a really important point, to not discount any properties that have been sitting on the market for a while. Maybe go back through, have your realtor redo your search, and to see, wait a minute, what about this one? This one's been on the market for a while. Let's find out what's going on there. Maybe we need to revisit that one. And it could be a really good opportunity for you that you perhaps just overlooked because it wasn't new and fresh in your inbox that day. And so you'd want your realtor to craft an offer that works for you and the seller. So your realtor has the ability to, talk to the other side, find out what the seller's motivations are, and find out what they're needing. Perhaps there is a win-win to be had. Maybe the seller has lived in the home for a really long time and has a bunch of stuff and needs extra time before they can move out. So they need to negotiate some sort of post-occupancy agreement, which is essentially you close close, give the seller, rent back to the seller, give them time to move out. That's one that could perhaps, cause some buyers to have pause, but if you're willing to do that and work with the sellers, maybe you could get a good deal. Or maybe there's another creative solution, like if there's some big cosmetic issues like new carpet, it's got terrible stains on the carpet, or really old paint, things like that. Maybe you can negotiate or have your realtor negotiate having some seller paid concessions or seller to pay for the carpet to be replaced. So, because perhaps they don't have the cash to do it before they put it on the market, but they're still willing to do it with the proceeds of their sale. So there's some creative ways that you could have your realtor craft a favorable offer that could get you a good deal on a property here. So for many, the home prices in the Salida, Colorado area might give them some pause, but do know that there are opportunities out there, particularly with homes that have been on the market for a long time. So there could be some good deals to be had out there. A really important piece is to work with a realtor that understands this market and is willing to do some legwork for you to discover as much information as possible about these potential opportunities, and then craft a good offer that could get you a good deal and create a win-win situation for you and the seller. Now, if you are interested in homes in the Salida, Colorado area, or chatting with me, I'd be happy to talk to you a little bit more about moving here and how I might be able to help you discover some opportunities here. Please feel free and reach out to me. All of my information is below, and I really appreciate your time. Thanks for watching, and have a wonderful day.